change from a year ago when we were in Brazil, and temperatures right there are pretty consistently warm. You know, it's interesting having been a missionary for many years. When we got to the United but there was always a surprise us. And in one particular visit, I remember walking into a convenience store and realizing that about half of the cold drink sections, the section was all energy drinks. They were super high caffeine, ginseng, taurine, sugar. They all had their own recipe. They all had their special flavor. But each promised the same thing: energy, enough energy to get throughout your day. And if that wasn't enough, up near the cash registers, there were little boxes of these miniature bottles of the something called 5-Hour Energy. And coming out of the store, it seemed like the whole country must be facing an energy crisis. I'm not talking about fossil fuels or electric energy or power grids or solar panels. I'm talking about having enough physical energy, enough stamina to get through our days. It seems like we just need a little more. And if we do, we look to different sources of energy just to keep going, just to finish the day. And I'm not talking about how we get started with the day. I'm in front of my coffee machine because that's how I like to get started each of my days. We all get started one way or another. Some of us take showers. Some people go exercising. We read our Bibles. We drink coffee. We each start our day one way or another, but sometimes in the middle of the day, we need another burst of energy. We look to energy drinks or afternoon coffees as something just to finish the day, just to keep going. So we see these things in the market, the afternoon coffee times, the energy drinks. They've been flooding the marketplace. And now there are things that our society is finding essential. But the same can be true in our spiritual lives as well. When we were first saved, we trust Jesus. When we trust Jesus for the first time, we're infused with a spiritual energy, a vigor. It's a light in our eyes. Everything is new and fresh and wonderful. It's like the morning of the morning of the first day of summer in Oregon. Life is just good. We have a spring in our step. We have a heart. We have a song in our heart. But a lack of passion, a lack of energy isn't a problem we have. But as the years go by, we can feel ourselves needing a little pick-me-up, a little shot of energy. And in the Christian marketplace, there's no end of books and solutions offered to help reinvigorate our spiritual lives. But we should be a little bit leery of the latest solutions or fads that promise energy or paths to bring us to the next level of spiritual maturity. For this type of thing is nothing new. Even the early church struggled with this, and Paul had a lot to say about this, particularly to the church in Galatia, the Galatian church. Listen to what he wrote to them in Galatians 3:1. He says, "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ was clearly portrayed among you as crucified? Are you so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, you are now being made perfect by the flesh?" In a couple chapters later, in Galatians 5, verses 4 and 7, he wrote, "You have become estranged from Christ. You who attempt to be justified by the law, you have fallen from grace." In verse 7, he wrote, "You ran well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth?" And this is all a continuation of what Paul had started in chapter 1 in verse 6 when he said, "I marvel that you are turning away so soon from him who called you in the grace of Christ to a different gospel." The energy that is to This energy was given by Jesus Christ himself in the Gospel of John. John 15, in verse 1, where Jesus said the famous words, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser." And in verse 4, he says, "Abide in me, and I in you. As a branch cannot bear fruit in itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. growth. The secret to its growth, even the secret to our growth, to our energy, is, as Christians, the energy crisis that we face as Christians is simply to abide. In verse 7 of the same chapter, Jesus said, "If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire and it shall be done for you." Well, in the previous verse, Jesus had told what would happen if we don't abide in him or in his word. He says, if anyone does not abide and his word. The same apostle that had written those words in John, Jesus' words in John, and later in his first epistle would write to his readers the benefits of abiding in him. In 1:28, John writes, "And now, little children, abide in him, that when he appears, we may have confidence and not be ashamed before him at his coming." So, dear Christian, if you are feeling yourself in a bit of an energy crisis, or wondering what will bring you into the next stage of development, understand that as long as we abide in him and his word, energy is flowing from the vine. That's from Jesus. And in its season, fruit will come. And we will have confidence and we will not be ashamed when he returns.